rocket science.
When you hear rocket science, you think that's a difficult subject. In fact, people will say about something they have to do, oh, it's not difficult, it's not rocket science, right? Or when they refer to rocket scientists, they say rocket scientists are really smart. Not like that person there, he's no rocket scientist. You know, you've heard that, right? Well, I am a rocket scientist. I teach propulsion and combustion at UIC. But when you hear how I became a rocket scientist, you may not think rocket scientists are so smart after all. And maybe not even me being so smart. When I was a young teenager in New York City, my family lived across the street from a remote area of Bronx Park. Bronx Park is a very large park. It contains the zoo, the botanical gardens, but it extends far uptown where there are parts of it where there are only trees, rocks, brush, some walking paths, but basically deserted. Ideal place to shoot off rockets. If you have a rocket or know how to make a rocket. Well, when I was 13, I didn't know how to make a rocket, nor did my friends, but we did know about seltzer bottles. You know what those are? Seltzer bottles. That's club soda. You can take a cartridge of CO2, put it in the handle, screw the handle down, and the CO2 would go into the base of this container and make seltzer water, carbon dioxide impregnated water. The capsules that went in that handle look like this. Have you ever seen these? You've seen them, right? You've never seen them? They're about that big. They have a little lead tip here. You put it in the handle here, screw it in, gas bubbles out, make seltzer. Now, if you kind of look at it like that, they do sort of look like a rocket, don't they, right? Yeah, like a rocket, 3 rockets. Well, I figured out, along with the help of my friends, that if we drill out that lead tip here and let all the CO2 out, we have small rockets. Yeah. I also learned, I don't know exactly how, to make gunpowder with ingredients that could be purchased at the neighborhood pharmacy. And I checked, you could still buy them. Charcoal powder. Yeah, that's just black carbon powder. Charcoal, activated charcoal, which you can usually buy for your stomach, something like that. You can buy that. Sulfur, just elemental sulfur. You can get it at the pharmacy. I don't know what it's used for, but you can buy it. And something called saltpeter. You might have heard of saltpeter. I think it's a diuretic. I think it's used for other medicinal purposes, but it is potassium permanganate, which is an oxidizer. The 3 ingredients of gunpowder, carbon black, sulfur, and potassium permanganate, I got my hands on, would mix that all up, stuff it in this little capsule here, fill it up, and then take the fuse from a cherry bomb. You ever seen cherry bombs? Big round things for blasting on July 4th. Take that fuse, stick it in the end of this thing, go down to Bronx Park, set it among the rocks, light it, run, and watch this thing go off into the rockets. Rocket science, right? Every now and then, when I get a perverse thought, I would jam-pack this thing with gunpowder, put the fuse in, knowing it was not going to be able to get rid of the hot gases fast enough, but it would explode. So I put it on the rocks, light it, run it, watch the rocks go flying in the air. Now, at the time, it was great experience. But I didn't realize these rockets, if you turn them like that, they're actually like bullets. And they could have just gone like that and killed me. Or if you look at it like that, they look a lot like the bombs you drop out of planes. And these so-called fun explosions I was setting off among the rocks were actually bombs that I was lucky not to have killed me. In fact, the so-called rocket scientist was training not so much to be a rocket scientist, but it sounds more like a terrorist. Building bullets and bombs. I was lucky I didn't kill myself. So when you hear this story, you might think, well, this is about junior rocket scientists not being so smart and barely lucky to survive their experiments when they were making bullets and bombs. Could be about that. And you might wonder how smart I was that I went on and said, oh, this is great, let me study this stuff, you know. But it also could be about something else. It could be about learning how to make gunpowder. So when you leave here tonight, you will know how to make gunpowder. So you learned something from this talk. You have a technique, Tim. They know how to make gunpowder and how to fill up CO2 cartridges if it ever comes in handy for you. But perhaps this is about something more substantive than that. Perhaps this is about discovering who you are by looking at what you played at when you were young. Look back and see what you enjoyed, what you fooled around with, what you toyed around with, even at the risk of your own life. And that might give you an insight into what you could be or should be doing today, if you have any questions about it. Now, I am a rocket scientist. I don't have to look back and figure out others. I mean, it became self-evident. But if you're dealing with young people, if you're dealing with other people who don't know exactly what they should be doing, ask them, what did you blow up when you were young? And you might discover what drives them and what they should be doing today. Mr. President.
Dream terrorist, Toastmaster. Thank you guys. Very informative, very good. Our third speech tonight will be Joni.